It's still testing. Still testing. Waiting for broadcast to be published. I think it's catching up with itself. I mean, I'm 30 seconds in, so I'm just going to start this thing by saying hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 53 of Red Dead Adventures here on Off the Shelf Reviews. I am your host, Iain Buckingham, and this is actually just a bit of a test thing as well. Obviously, we're experiencing a few little issues here at the Off the Shelf Reviews HQ. Obviously, Gary recently just did a Resident Evil playthrough, and our friend Dave was going to do his Final Fantasy VII playthrough. And we were speaking to Dave, and Dave was just like, "It's not working. It's not working. Why is it not working? Why is it?" And I'm like, "Dude, I don't know. I can barely tie my shoelaces together. How am I supposed to get your internet connection to work from your side?" But I was speaking to Gary, and I said, "Right, okay, Dave, Gary, what I'll do is I'll test it from my end. I'll do a small. Oh yeah, it was supposed to be Red Dead Adventures, wasn't it, Davey?" So I said, look, I'm going to test it from my end. I'm going to hook up the microphone. I'm just going to hit live. I'm going to see how we go. Obviously, I've got a stream planned for Sunday. So obviously, I wanted to make sure that everything was working this end. Because there's no way I'm going to be able to do a 12-hour stream if everything's broken. But it appears to be working. So, hey, Dave. Hey, Mongo. What up, Matt? Hey, Enlonco Parentes. Hey, Off the Shelf Reviews. Look, hey, Off the Shelf Reviews are signed in. That's pretty good. I like those guys. I watch a lot of their shows. What up, Daydreaming Davey? Please make sure, obviously, tell me if the audio's working and like you can see stuff. Like, I don't even know if the game's still going to load up. Like, Linda's been on it most of the day, so like I haven't done anything. But here we are. So obviously, I've got the microphone here, and the wife is probably going to come in and sit down next to me. So you'll be able to hear her at the same time. Can't wait for you and Gary to get back together for more reviews. We will definitely be getting back on. Look at the beard. Look, I've been here. Look at this. I'm so proud of this. A lot of people don't think don't think it's too proud. 334 days. 334 days. Yeah, I know. The wife sat next to me giving me that look, and she's giving that look of, what were you doing this week? And I'm like, I've been at work, yeah, you know, I've been at work 334 days. What's that? So that's 31 days. 31 days until a full year. Oh my God, it's just despicable. It's despicable. Yeah, I think Dave has actually fixed his thing. So Dave, obviously make sure everything's fine your end. I'll be doing a little bit of a stream because I've got a quiz to do tonight. We've got a big wide quiz to do that we've been doing with our friends for the last 3 weeks. How do we do it? We do it through our phones, don't we? We do it through Zoom.
No, we use Messenger.
We do Facebook Messenger, so you know we're on there. Yeah, it is a bit of a beard, isn't it? I haven't cut my hair or my beard since like the game last told me to cut my hair and cut my beard. So I'm just literally just bumming around, make sure everything's fine, make sure you guys are all fine, because I haven't spoken to you in ages. Where you all been? What you been up to? I mean, literally, the last time I spoke to you guys was I was playing Doom. Then I had to go back to work this week. I had to go outside. I had to go outside into the apocalyptic world in which we live in now. What up, Michael McNally? What up, Edward Hinton? What up, Matt? Matt Midgley, fist bumps. What up, Jay Hines?
Gary, we need a better microphone.
Yeah, Gary, we're talking about getting a new microphone because obviously we want to be able to get everybody in. Like,
What's the one Dave's got? 'Cause it's got
I don't know, Dave. What kind of microphone have you got, Dave? He'll put it into the post. Actually, he'll chuck it in there. This dude needs a shave on it. He does need a shave. Should I do that? Should I go get a shave? I don't know. Am I still in defensive? Because I'm gonna stay in defensive for this playthrough at the moment because. Like me and Campbell, we were playing this morning, and we got into a lot of trouble. So you know what I'm doing? I'm going to quick join a mission while I'm here because I just seen a question that popped up that I really want to answer, and that's from Matt Midgley on my thoughts of WrestleMania this year. Man, WrestleMania was awesome. I say awesome because it was over 2 nights. So I got to watch one night. I wasn't able to watch the second night because I had to get up early to go to work. What's that? Anyone else wrap their cats in bubble wrap? Yeah, Bad Boy Bubby does. That's the film Bad Boy Bubby. So I was excited. I wanted to see how it was going to work. You know, there was going to be no audience. There was going to be the Boneyard match, the Firefly Funhouse match. You know, there was a lot of stuff that they had to change. They had to work with. Roman Reigns, dropped out. So Braun Strowman was going up against Brock Lesnar. Braun Strowman was going up against Goldberg. Brock Lesnar was still facing Drew McIntyre, which everybody knew Drew McIntyre had that in the bag. I mean, the guy has worked like a trooper ever since he got picked by Vince McMahon 11 years ago. Was it 11 years ago or 19 years ago? No, it was 11 years ago. He got picked by Vince McMahon, and then he dropped the ball, much like Cena did, and then he came back and worked his butt off. So, what up, Steve Strange? Ian, it's good to hear your voice again, buddy. Man, it's good to see you again, Steve Strange. Fist bump, my little man. And so, yeah, me and Andy, we got together the Saturday night. I slept in the front room. I said, Linda, look, I'm going to sleep downstairs tonight, go watch WrestleMania. And so me and Andy, we watched like the first 2 hours together. He was at his house. I was at mine. We had our messenger up. So we were obviously talking to each other. And I was impressed. Say what you want about Vince McMahon. Say what you want about WWE. I don't care. You can diss him and moan about him as much as you want right now. But they fulfilled their obligation of constructing a WrestleMania event with everything going on at the moment. They entertained the masses just like they said they were going to do. And I'm going to go off right now. Right, so Boneyard match with The Undertaker versus AJ Styles. I'm a fan of AJ Styles. I've been a fan of AJ Styles since I saw him in TNA. You know, back in the day, I thought he was amazing. When he joined WWE, I was like, this is it. You know, we have got the phenomenal one here. They got him and Taker to face each other, which I was a bit like, how's this going to work? Because everybody said, look, there's no build up to it. You know, but who cares? You don't need a build up when you got Taker. You literally just have to upset him and he choke slams you. That's your build up. The Boneyard match. You know, it reflects to what Broken Matt Hardy did with his battles at his house with his brother. You know, this cinematic. You know, it took you back to the old Buried Alive matches. It was silly, it was corny, it was over the top, but there were some great moments. I mean, I did laugh at myself when The Undertaker legitimately buried AJ Styles at the end, and I'm like, who's going to moan about Taker burying AJ Styles? They did drop the ball by not doing the Phenom versus the Phenomenal one. That they should have totally done that, but they didn't. The Firefly Funhouse match, though. After watching the Boneyard match, I was interested to see how the Firefly match would go. You know, Bray Wyatt, The Fiend. It's been a bit difficult for him. It's been a bit of a difficult rise. You know, with John Cena coming in, immediately you're like, oh my God, John Cena's going to bury him. John Cena's going to come along. They don't like Bray Wyatt. They've already made him lose the title against Goldberg. They are going to bury the Fiend character. What is the point in this? And then I watched the match, and I was like, oh my God, you know, this is like one of the greatest matches I've ever seen. It wasn't even a match. Well, it was a match. It was a mental match. You know, you had Bray Wyatt making John Cena deal with himself in as many different incarnations. The fact that I've been listening to Corey Graves doing the After the Bell podcast, which if you haven't listened to, I totally recommend it, because Corey Graves, one of the best speakers they've got out at the moment. Him and the New Days podcast are great. I listen to both of them each week. And Corey Graves did an interview with John Cena, and John Cena, I don't care what people say. Like I said, say what you want about wrestling. I'm not going to get into the arguments. It's too much for me right now. But John Cena is a workhorse. He is a man. He is 16-time world champion. He has pretty much done everything and anything there is. And the guy is still humble. When you listen to him, he is humble. He's like, hey, work hard.
I can't go back to him.
You know, John Cena, I've watched the Ruthless Aggression episodes on the WWE Network while they're covering that. And John Cena was the first guy to come out and face Kurt Angle. He was going to be the face of the company, and he dropped the ball. He dropped the ball weeks into his push, and it was just by luck that he came back with the Doctor Thugonomics character and managed to bring himself back and become John Cena, building himself up to be John Cena the Man. Yeah. So then going up against Bray Wyatt in the Firefly Funhouse match. I could see that John Cena had sat there going, yeah, let's do that. That's a great idea. Let's do that. And like I said, yeah, it wasn't a proper match, but psychologically, I'm like, this is old school Undertaker. This is old school, buried alive matches and casket matches. Next year, I really hope they do another Firefly Funhouse match. In my mind, I'm thinking, how's Randy Orton going to do this? What happens if they bring Triple H back? There's just so many different things that you could do with it. I mean, it's possible that they could mess it all up again. Don't get me wrong, but it was fun. Becky Lynch versus Shayna Baszler. I'm going to go on that one. I'm a fan of Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler, she's a ex-UFC MMA fighter who went into NXT, and she worked her way up through the NXT division, kicking butt and taking names. Now, a lot of people said, look, Becky Lynch should have dropped the title to her. Goldberg was already dropping his title. He dropped the title to Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman is the new champion. Yeah. McIntyre, he dropped his title. So you got to remember, you can't have too many people dropping their titles. You've really got to build it up. Shayna Baszler beating Becky Lynch, it's too early. I like the way that at the end of the match, she got pinned and she lost, and it now made her question. Made her question herself. She now knows that she's not unstoppable. Now they can develop her character a bit more. They can do a bit more of her, and then they give her the title at another time. I'm happy for that. I've waited for Becky Lynch to get this title for a long time. Keep it on her. She's the man. Everybody's watching the matches. That's great. I'm getting out of the way. Sorry, I'm totally in the way here. Trying to talk and shoot at the same time. I was very surprised about the triple threat ladder match that they did, because The Miz dropped out of that match, and so it literally became a three-way single match between John Morrison, Jimmy Uso, and Kofi Kingston. Like I said, I've been watching the New Day podcast. Kofi Kingston, man, that's a hard-working workhorse right there. He's badass. John Morrison, really surprised he's back. Like, last I heard of him, he was in TNA, and he was champion there. And then all of a sudden he turns up and he's on SmackDown. It was a great match. Different, because there was no crowd. There was no crowd to kind of ooh and ah and to recognize if you're doing things right or not. But they still worked it. The ending came. The Miz and John Morrison have still got the titles. Brilliant. Sign me up for the next ladder match. I want to see the next ladder match. Don't you think Becky is stale, though, with the Conor McGregor gimmick? No, I don't believe she's stale, and I'll tell you why. Do you remember when Sable was women's champion? Do you remember when Sable was women's champion? Do you remember when we had the Divas division? Do you remember when the female wrestlers had about 4 minutes to do a match? And nobody cared. I was one of those fans. I fast forwarded female matches when there was a pay-per-view. I didn't care. And I just found it disrespectful. They're all hard workers. The girls, the guys, they're all hard workers. And the girls try to put in just as much effort as the guys do. But they're kind of, sometimes they're kind of held back. They're told not to, Becky Lynch is walking around with this Stone Cold Steve Austin attitude because it's working for her, Same as Charlotte Flair is walking around with the Ric Flair attitude, and Sasha Banks is kind of walking around with a kind of, the Rock attitude, being about. I don't understand why Sasha Banks hasn't taken the title off of Bayley. That match was a bit weird. I know, I like Bayley, and I'm glad that Bayley's still got the title, but I was a bit weird that that she didn't drop the title. I'm going to say this with my wife next to me, so I'm probably going to get slapped. But I'm glad my girl Nia Jax is back on Raw. That's a girl that needs to beat Becky Lynch.
Tell him to go hang himself.
Nia Jax
Tell him
beats
whatever
Becky
you
Lynch,
want,
takes the
just
title.
let us
Shayna
know.
Baszler goes up against her, and Shayna then
Isn't that
becomes
also from-
less of a heel, more of a hero. You know, I'm a fan of Nia Jax mainly because, you know, she's different. We've always had the thin, good-looking blonde girls, you know, skimpy outfits and things like that. And Nia Jax comes along. She's a bigger, fuller girl, and a lot of people were complaining that she can't move. You know, and you got to remember, like I said, they're trying to do stuff, but they're limited. When she recently just went through an operation with both her knees, having to get both her knees fixed. So coming back, you walk a fine tightrope, don't you, when you're an athlete? You know, you might not come back. You know, you because you've got to go through all the what do they call it? Rehabilitation. That's right. You have to wait for the operation. You have to get the operation done. Then you have to wait for it to heal. Then you have to rehabilitate yourself. You know, it can be taxing, and especially now in the element that we're in, where you know WWE might turn around and go, actually, it's a really bad time for you to come back. We really don't need you. You know. So to see her actually come back, I'm like, yeah, build her up, give her the title. Let's go again. Braun Strowman versus Goldberg. I was really surprised Braun Strowman won that match. Really was. I wanted Braun Strowman to get the title for a long time. You know, he's the Monster Among Men. He's the new Big Show. And it was something I said to Andy after the second night of WrestleMania. I'm like, this is like a changing of the guard. You know, okay, barring Taker versus AJ Styles, but Taker endorsing AJ Styles is more than any victory. You know, he held AJ Styles at the end. He's like, you're my boy. You took it. You know, because he was in his American Badass persona, and it's awesome. Like, riding up to that site on his bike to the new Metallica song. Oh, that was sick. And then endorsing AJ Styles. You're the boy. You brought the fight. You know, that's basically him saying to Vince McMahon, give this guy a title. Let the Bullet Club run free. You know, AJ Styles is a workhorse. Braun Strowman taking on Goldberg. People are half and half of Goldberg. Some people absolutely hate him and think he's a waste of time. Me, I'm a fan. You know, yeah, he's a bit hard hitting and he's hurt some people. He did take Bret Hart out, but that was years ago. Let's kind of forget the past a little bit. Dropping the title to Braun Strowman. Now we've got a new title holder on SmackDown, so we can put people up against Braun Strowman. Maybe The Fiend again. Who else have we got on SmackDown to take on the title holder? Maybe give it to Big E. Big E Langston definitely needs a title shot. That'd be good. Drew McIntyre taking on Brock Lesnar. Knew it was coming. It was really obvious. It'd been obvious for about 6 months. Well, it'd been obvious since he won Raw, the Royal Rumble. Sorry. But now he's got the title. People can stop complaining that Brock Lesnar is just a half-time worker and only appears. It's Brock Lesnar, you know. Go back and watch. Like I said, if you get the chance, watch the Ruthless Aggression documentary. Watch the episode with Brock Lesnar. And the way the pressure they put on Brock Lesnar when he first came in, he was phenomenal. I hated Brock Lesnar. I still kind of do hate Brock Lesnar. He's a great heel, but I hated. What up, Josh? I hated the fact that Brock Lesnar was no selling hits. He was just destroying everything in his path. They were just handing him the title. I'm like, what the hell is this guy? Now I understand it. You know, they were stemming away from Taker and Triple H and The Rock and Austin, and they needed to give it to new guys, so they gave it to Brock. But Brock, you know, slightly had problems with the timetable, with the traveling. You know, he's a very Brock Lesnar, I didn't realize, is a very secluded person. Like, he does not like people. He does not like people. He just wants to do everything on his own. So getting him to sit on an airplane for hours on end with other wrestlers that he doesn't like, of course you're going to upset him. And it's like Paul Heyman said, Brock Lesnar actually went out of his way and bought his own plane, so he didn't have to fly with all the other wrestlers. That wasn't out of ego or selfishness. That was just out of the fact that he doesn't like people. I can get behind that. Obviously, after his MMA stuff, you know, Brock got injured. He got hurt, you know, and he had to come back. So he wasn't able to do half the stuff he was expected to do. So dropping the title now to McIntyre gives Brock Lesnar the time to go off for a little bit, come back, build up McIntyre, let him go up against people like Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins. Whoa, you got blown up, man. I'm really sorry. Just to fly. He did just fly, didn't he? So I am totally behind it. I'm totally all behind my wrestling at the moment. AEW. I've kind of dropped out of the running with AEW for a bit. I'll have to admit. Maybe it's because it was WrestleMania season and I was more interested in WrestleMania. But I'm seeing the same matches each week. It's kind of getting boring. You know, I'm seeing the Young Bucks. I'm seeing Kenny Omega. Don't get me wrong, I like them. They're good, but the same guys over and over again. And they've just brought in Matt Hardy because Matt Hardy's contract expired. And they just brought in the Exalted One, Brody Lee. What is the point of doing something different to everybody else and then literally doing the same or remarking? Like me and Andy discussed this back in the day. WWE beat WCW by kind of not talking about it. I mean, yeah, DX tried to invade WCW, but that was literally about it. You know, when TNA came along, they didn't acknowledge TNA. And look what happened. The companies ended up falling under. AEW. Oh, we're new. We're cool. We got all this stuff going on, but we're going to bring up WWE and we're going to talk about where we come from, the problems we've had in the past. It's like, make up your own stories. You know, make up your own stories. Do your own thing. I know Brody Lee is doing the Exalted One because he's being Vince McMahon, you know. I don't want to know that, though. I don't want him to acknowledge Vince McMahon. I want the Exalted One to be a completely standalone character, you know. But then again, I'll have to admit, I am not behind the Inner Circle. Yeah, boss. Rio Quinn should be getting onto Final Fantasy VII as soon as I get off this. Like I said, this was more of like a test thing. It was also kind of a catch up as well, just to make sure, because Dave was having a little bit of technical issues at his place, but now we realise that it's at his place. It's not us. It's not off the shelf for once. Woohoo! Yes, AEW is too concerned with getting one over WWE. Exactly. They shouldn't even acknowledge them. WWE aren't. You know, they shouldn't be. They should be doing their own thing. But much like TNA, much like WCW, you've got all these background things. I mean, like you had Arn Anderson turn up. Arn Anderson is now the coach for Cody Rhodes. Like, Cody Rhodes needed a coach. He did everything up to this point without Arn Anderson. And because Arn Anderson was let go from WWE, he needed a job. So guess where he got his job? In AEW. And now he's on screen. And I'm like, great, okay. Another classic throwback. I don't know. I don't know what. Like I said, I've dropped out of it. Like, I watched the match that that's some gunfire I'm getting out there now. I watched the match. I'm going to answer that question in a minute, Josh. I'll be right back to that. I watched the match between Jon Moxley and Chris Jericho for the title. It was good. I liked it. I like Jon Moxley, or Dean Ambrose, as you might know him from WWE, and he's got the championship now. You need to give him some people to face. You need to build up some storylines. He should be going up against the Exalted One. Brody Lee should be going up against Jon Moxley, pursuing him, you know, trying to convince him to join the Dark Order, but at the same time beating him down. Maybe interfering in his matches, you know, helping him win. So that after a while, Jon Moxley's like, stop helping me win. Oh, but we want you to join the Dark Order. No, I don't want to, and then you can build it up for the next pay-per-view. I don't know. Favorite Western film, Iain? The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is one of my top ones. But recently, I watched The Magnificent Seven. The Magnificent Seven. I watched the remake with Denzel Washington. Now, I'm going to be a bit biased. If you give me a film with Denzel Washington in, I will watch it. It's Denzel. Like you got Kurt motherfucking Russell. You got Denzel. That's it. You just have to say Denzel. When you give Denzel Washington a gun, I'm all up in that. I am all up in that. And so, like, all right, I'm a bit biased playing a lot of Red Dead Redemption recently, but watching The Magnificent Seven, I knew how it was going to play out. I've seen Seven Samurai. I own the movie, a bunch of villagers somewhere being tormented by somebody really, really bad. And they hire some gunslingers or some warriors to come along. The warriors give their lives to help the people, and they beat the bad guys, basically. Yeah, I know. I need to watch Bone Tomahawk as well. It like combines two of my favorite things, westerns and Kurt motherfucking Russell, and I just haven't got around to it yet. Oh no. Well, all right. Somebody leave today. Oh, look at that. I didn't. Bobby Bob Bob left. Did he? Bobby Bob Bob. Great name there. I wonder how long it took him to write that one. But yeah, I watched the recent Magnificent Seven, and it was phenomenal. I mean, I got a bit of a thing with Chris Pratt as well. Chris Pratt's kind of my boy. That was cool. Lots of gunfire. When they pulled out the minigun, that was awesome. Ethan Hawke's in it. Yeah, Ethan Hawke is phenomenal. And there was this Asian actor in there who was Ethan Hawke's friend. He was pretty badass with some knives. So, like I said, the Outlaw Josie Wales, Hang 'em High, Fistful of Dollars. There's a lot of really good westerns. I want that eagle. Aliens versus Cowboys versus Aliens. I don't think I've actually watched Cowboys versus Aliens all the way through. Like, I keep watching like half and half. Like, I'll watch the first half and then I have to go do something else. And then I watch the second half and then I go do something else. So, hey, I want that eagle. Don't drop the eagle. Don't drop the eagle. Don't drop the eagle. Denzel Washington in Flight was one of his best performances. I did watch I haven't watched Flight all the way through, but I watched the plane bit. And just watching Denzel Washington tell him to do the flaps and pull the power. I like that bit where he's like, what's your son's name? It's like, oh, it's Johnny. Tell Johnny you love him. Why? Because of the black box. Because of the black box. And it's like, oh, yeah, because they want to record it. I really should get my bow and arrow, shouldn't I? You know what? I'm going to let these two guys do it. Like, look at the levels that they are. You know what?
I told Marshal Davis Montez knows we're coming, I'm sure.
I'm going to let these guys do all the work. I've done this mission like a good bazillion times. I'm just here to chat to you guys. I ain't here to do any real goddamn work. If they get shot, then that's their fault, so. Josie Wales was great, though. I mean, is there a Western with Clint Eastwood in that isn't great? Like I said, maybe I'm a bit biased at the moment, but I love me a Western. I really, really do. Oh, well, they're just shooting. They're just shooting everybody, so. You let them know we're here. All right, Lee, calm down. Oh, what have I got my cattleman for? I don't want my cattleman. So. But I hope you are all doing real safe. I know, like, the last episode I did was the coronavirus special, wasn't it? And I was like, oh, yeah, it's all going to be kind of weird and over and stuff. Nope, we have been locked in for pretty much, 3 weeks? 4 weeks? Thousands of people have died all around the world. People think it's done by 5G. I mean, honestly, it's 5G. Hey, friend. Pow. Pow. Oh, that was, did you like that, boss? Those 2 shots were for you, boss. Hup. Oh, I got that guy from that range. Oh, that was good. That was for my boy, boss, for the hard work he does on the street. He can't kill people. He's not allowed to kill people, so I kill people for him. So, but yeah, 5G. What the frack? I mean, I told a lot of people this story, so I'm going to tell it now on this episode because I think it's a great story and it's weird. But a few weeks ago, we were indoors. I said to Linda, I said, look, we need to get out for a bit. I need to go up and get some drinks, some like Coke and lemonade and some stuff from the local supermarket. So I'm going to take Dylan through our park, get him out for an hour, go up and get some supplies. Yeah, okay then. So while I'm in there, I see a police officer. I see two police officers, and they are looking at this burnt out scooter. There's somebody's ridden a scooter, a motorized scooter, into the park, parked it up, and set it on fire. As you do, when you're bored in the middle of a quarantine. Don't shoot me, please. Thank you. And they've set it on fire. And they've just left it there. So I'm just looking at, I'm not interfering with the police officers. I'm staying back, and I'm just letting the police officers do their thing. And I see this woman. She's locking her bike up to a fence. And she starts talking to me. Oh, hi. Oh, you're very inquisitive, aren't you? I bet you wonder what's going on. What kind of star sign are you? And I'm thinking, oh my God, I really shouldn't talk to people. I really should not talk to people, okay? Because I know people. People are weird. So, especially when they want to talk to me. Like I'm not exactly normal. So if you really want to have a conversation with me, you must be as weird as I am. Fist bump with all the shelfers. Boom, boom, boom. So I'm being polite to this woman. I'm like, I'm a Scorpio. She's like, oh, you've got the inquisitive nature. Yeah, I bet you question everything. You have your own thoughts. I'm like, oh God, how do I get out of this situation? And she says to me, I really want to show you this video. And I'm like, yeah, well, okay. She's like, I need to send it to you through Snapchat. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm not giving you my mobile number. I have in my mind, I'm like, I have no idea who you are. I'm not privy to just handing out my mobile number to strangers. And I said, look, you can show me the video if you want. She goes, well, it's 15 minutes long. I'm thinking, I'm not standing in the middle of this public park with Dylan talking to a stranger for 15 minutes. But I'm being polite. If you just want to show me the overview, that's fine. And this is before 5G became prominent in the news. So this was the first time I'd heard about it. And she shows me this video, and the video starts. It's on YouTube. And it's like, oh, yeah, I used to work for Vodafone. And this is the guy on the videotape. I used to work for Vodafone, and I could have told you months ago that this was going to happen, that 5G was going to have a problem with people's immune systems, and we were going to be, obviously, Josh, you're not a fan of Denzel? I'm not even touching that one with 10 foot, but I wouldn't even touch that one with yours. Anyway, I watched 3 minutes of this video, and I said, look, could you just pause that video for a second? I said, is this a conspiracy theory? And immediately you could just tell she got completely upset. She's like, well, yes, some people would consider it a conspiracy theory, but you have to understand it. If you don't start believing in this kind of stuff, in about 2 months' time, we're all going to be dead. And I'm thinking, okie dokie, time to walk away. Just time to walk away. I'm like, look, I completely understand that you might have these theories. I said, but what I couldn't shake, right? And I don't think that she could fully understand this, is that we're stood in the middle of a public park, yeah? And she is showing me a video on YouTube. So, how is she showing me this video from YouTube? Well, she's got 4G. She even had the make of phone in which the guy at the beginning of the YouTube video said you shouldn't have. A Huey, a Hawaii, a HUA, WEI, one of those phones. If you have one of those phones, you're basically, funding terrorism or whatever. And I'm like, but in my mind, I'm like, but you have one of these phones and you have 4G. So what? Yeah, the 5G thing is just, like a lot of people are like, it's an issue. In hindsight, I should have ran away as fast as I could. I shouldn't have even gone outside. Sorry, I'm talking to Linda at the same time. I'm like, in hindsight, I should not talk to people. I don't like like people I don't get along with. You know, like there with Josh. It's like, you know, sue me, and I'm like, dude, Denzel Washington is one of the greatest film stars of our time. You only have to watch Malcolm X. Or what did I watch recently? I watched clips recently of a film he was in called Fences. I don't know if anybody's heard about Fences. Fences is a movie where a guy is living with his son during the 50s or 60s. And there was a live action play that James Earl Jones did. And word for word, shot for shot, scene for scene, it was immaculate. Book of Eli. I mean, who doesn't like Book of Eli? I mean, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm not going to argue with anybody. You don't want to watch a Denzel Washington film? You go right ahead. You know, just try not to set fire to a lowercase t in my front garden and tell me that I shouldn't be watching Denzel Washington films because, you know, King Kong ain't got shit on me. Malcolm X I found boring, but Spike Lee is hit and miss for me. Yeah, you gotta be in the right mind frame for those kind of films. Like Malcolm X is phenomenal. Spike Lee movies are good. You just have to be in that market. You can't just, like, I don't turn around one day and go, oh, I'm going to sit down and watch a Spike Lee movie. I've got to be, like, in a real mood to take the message that Spike Lee is going to give to me. You know, it's I've got to be in a right mood. Like, I haven't seen Do the Right Thing in, I don't know, about 10 years. I haven't seen it in a long time, and I do want to watch it. Ow, that hurt. Why would you shoot me, man? I didn't shoot you. Pow. Get him. Yeah, I haven't seen Do the Right Thing in a long time. But, like, I would totally watch it again. But I got to be in the right mood to watch it because it's obviously, like, a big political thriller. Do you know what I've been really wanting to watch recently? Yeah. If anything, Spike Lee kind of screwed Old Boy. Nobody should ever touch Old Boy. Old Boy was just... Even Thanos couldn't save Old Boy. You know what I really wanted to watch recently? Ghost Dog with Forrest Whitaker. Linda watched this film recently on Netflix with Forrest Whitaker in. The End Is Now? End Is Now, I think it was called. And I left her to it because I went up the stairs and I watched Coffee and Kareem. My God. Coffee and Kareem on Netflix was brilliant. Ed Hines, I think it is. The guy from The Hangover who gets his tooth knocked out. He was in it. He was great. But the moment Linda started watching Forrest Whitaker in this End Is Now, I was like, man, I really want to watch Ghost Dog now. You know? You know, Forrest Whitaker is amazing in Ghost Dog. But I like Hitman movies. I love Leon. I love Grosse Pointe Blank. What else? I really like Hitman. Agent 47 with Timothy Olyphant as well. Kind of got a man crush on Timothy Olyphant. I don't know what it is. Like, I'm not gay or anything, but, you know, if the man came up to me with a tub of butter and said, will you rub this on me? I'd be like, okay. No, check it. Sorry, I'm trying to break the tension there. Just because. I've been watching a lot of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Recently got into that. I was sat at home and I was like, hey, man, you know what? Everyone's talking about Brooklyn Nine-Nine, so I'll start watching it. And
Here's his head.
I'm behind Jake Peralta. I don't really like Andy Samberg, and the last episode I watched did have Adam Sandler in, but I swallowed my pride and I got through it. You know, it was all good. I do want to watch Black Klansman. I mean,
here's some money.
is it Childish? Is that Childish Gambino in Black Klansman? This is America. Don't let me tripping now. And it's what's his face? Kylo Ren.
Son of a bitch with a price on his head. Only in that family was he considered a saint.
Let's try not to get onto the Star Wars conversation, shall we? Because honestly, nobody's liked Star Wars since the original Star Wars. I love Star Wars. I really like. I'm a sci-fi fan, but Star Wars came out. Everybody whinged about it because it's basically just a remake of Hidden Fortress. Nobody likes Return of the Jedi because it's got bloody Ewoks in it. Nobody liked Phantom Menace because it had Jar Jar Binks in it. Nobody liked any of the other movies because they were just not the same as the other ones. And these most recent ones have had some massive, huge problems in it. But that's because we're 40-year-old men watching films that are sold to children for toys. So that last sequence where all those Star Destroyers come out of the planet and the Emperor's like, I have this massive armada. I'm like, this is so stupid, but those Star Destroyers look so awesome. So, let's just do it. Let's just do it. I don't care. If anybody's going to come on to me and be like, hey, man, you're wrong, Star Wars, it's just like... That's pretty much my answer to anybody who tries to disagree with me. At the moment, it's like... Like I said, everyone, you can have your own opinion. Just, I don't know what it is. What is it about just taking something that if you know somebody and they like something, why telling them to their face that it's shit do you think is going to make that person just completely change their mind? It just doesn't work. Like Gary doesn't like Adam Sandler. We all know Gary doesn't like Adam Sandler. Standing there in front of Gary and explaining to him day in, day out for hours upon hours about... He was in the episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Explaining to Gary about why Adam Sandler is not going to change Gary's opinion on Adam Sandler. Trust me. I've known Gary for a long time. It just doesn't. Josh, just also, let's not mention Dark Fate. Actually, you know what? I'm going to mention Dark Fate. I watched it for the second time. It was still bad, but not as bad this time round.
It's because you were more prepared.
I was more prepared. Yes, I was. And I sat there pausing it at specific parts, letting my brain run over things. Right. So, for example, I'm going to do it. Carl Draper. I'm bringing up Carl Draper now. Doing it now, 41 minutes into the stream. I know it says Carl the Draper, but he hasn't got a last name, so I just call him Carl Draper. So,
his last name's Terminator.
Yeah, it's Carl my name is Terminator. Carl Terminator. So, right, okay. So, this is how I figured this out, okay? So, Sarah and John destroy Skynet at the end of Terminator 2, dropping the chip and the arm into the molten lava, right? And the second Terminator. So, Skynet ceases to exist. At this point in the future, because obviously none of us know how time travel works, so let's just throw it to the wind, people. Let's just throw it to the wind. Skynet knows it's going to lose. But as we had already established, there is no Skynet without John Connor. There's just no way. It's contradictory, paradoxical. But let's think outside the box here. It sends multiple Terminators back. All T-800s, but loads of Terminators, all back at once. And they get scattered in time. And we know this because for 22 years, from the moment John Connor is killed to the moment that Sarah Connor meets up with Danny and Grace on the bridge, she says herself, I have been killing Terminators. I get sent these coordinates, I go there, I kill them. So where are these Terminators coming from? They're coming from a future that doesn't exist anymore. The Terminators are just turning up. She kills them. But that one, the Carl Draper Terminator, he just happens to be the one that goes back and kills John Connor. And once he's killed John Connor, he stops to receive messages from Skynet, because at this point Skynet doesn't exist to him. But the Terminator, because it's outside of the time zone, bubble, whatever, line, whatever, he still exists. And we know from Terminator 2 that the Terminator is a learning machine. It has a learning processor. So the moment it stopped receiving orders, the moment it has completed its mission and stopped receiving orders, yeah, what else is he going to do? He can't self-terminate. We know this from Terminator 2. The Terminator cannot kill itself. So he doesn't eat, he doesn't sleep. So he's just wandering the streets, isn't he? People probably tried to rob him, and he probably beat the crap out of them.
Will you go for me?
Wait, what?
Oh yeah, Gary is probably cursing and swearing right now. But anyway, so as a learning processor, it starts to learn. You know, about the human. It just starts to learn about humans. It starts to learn how to stay infiltrated among the humans. And this is obviously where he meets the woman and stays with her. Now, my mind gets a little bit empty when it comes to Legion, because the film doesn't fully explain how Legion... basically, she says it's a computer program to combat cyber warfare, which was basically what Skynet was. And it creates the Terminators because the human race tried to stop it, yeah? I still don't fully understand how that one works. But Danny gave the coordinates to Grace in the future to meet up with Carl. So regardless if they'd met up with Sarah, they were going to meet up with Carl anyway. Because Danny has already... Danny of the future already has the memories of the past of dealing with Carl and knowing his location and knowing that Grace will have to find him. So that stuff I can kind of get past now. It's kind of like how I accepted Genesis and how I accepted Salvation and how I accept Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker and Jaws 4 and Poltergeist 3 and whatever terrible movies are. Not Tekken 2 or Tekken 1. Those movies are still shit. And Hellraiser Judgment. Hellraiser Judgment is still shit. I don't accept those movies. You know, there's a long list of movies that are terrible. The Predator. Now, I watched Predator 1 and Predator 2 recently because I bought them on DVD. And oh my god, those movies are still amazing. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. I mean, isn't that just the most awesome soundtrack? Like, when you hear that kick off at the start, it's like, it sets you up. And Predator 2 is still an amazing sequel. I remember what I said about the Predators movie when I watched it. And actually, in fairness, I kind of go back a little bit on what I said because I watched The Predator. You know? The Predator is still pretty bad. It's kind of worse than The Predator, I would say. But what are you going to do? You know, they have an idea, they try something new, it doesn't work, they have to start something new. Like, do I have to bring up Alien Covenant again? You know, like, this is the world that we live in here, people. Come here, you're mine. Whoa, where did he go? Like, he's back here. Like, I came up with a theory. I can't remember. Gary, I don't know if you're still there, if you can remember this as well. If we came up with this theory when we were doing the Predator review, right? But watching Predator 1. Everybody's seen Predator 1, right? I'm not spoiling this for anybody. So everybody knows this, right? Predator 1. The ship flies down, doesn't it? Right at the start. Ship flies down. The pod breaks off and flies down and falls into the planet, yeah? Now, I was thinking this a couple of days ago when I was thinking about Predator. How do we know the time frame for that? You know? Like, immediately, it would be easy to think that pod has crashed a week, 2 weeks, maybe a couple of days before Arnie goes into the jungle. Yeah, okay, yeah, I know it's purposely set there. I know it doesn't crash, but my point is, Anna says in the jungle. Sorry, I'm talking to Linda at the same time. You won't be able to hear her, so it sounds like I'm talking to myself. But Anna actually says, we find our men sometimes